amazing how you have a cool command line thing to show you after the talk.
All right. Where's the
Allow for 1 month.
All right, so shall we start?
Yes.
Is there an echo, or we're all good, Ibrahim?
No, sounds pretty good.
I muted myself. Yeah, so let's talk about like Phoenix. Like Phoenix just like released like a new version, 1.8.0. And also they did release the live view 1.1. It's like both like minor bumps. So it's kind of like hard to talk just about Phoenix and not talk about live view these days. But so and then here just like put some like timeline of like the versions. So like we had the 1.7 out since like November 22. So it's been like bunch of years here, just like the 1.7, and then like I don't know, I was expecting like oh this 1.8 it's gonna be like a big bump, a big change, but as you see, like I guess that Phoenix is at that point that we are so stable, like it's been good for so many years that there's always gonna be like nice things happening, but not like big things. Yeah, so like they started to work on this like in April and August, just like last week or 2 weeks ago, they released that. Phoenix Live View, they have like shorter releases, right? So like the 1.0.0 was released in December 24, and now July 25, we have like a new minor version bump. Yeah, first thing that I noticed that they did change was like they added these like agents MD file on new Phoenix projects. So this is like a kind of like a it is like a markdown to help AI agents to know like about your project. Let's see if I can show it here raw. I want to see the comments. Where are those comments? So I think that this is just Phoenix part, but when you generate this stuff locally, or so the agents that comes in the project, they do have these type of comments here. Phoenix gen off start, Phoenix gen off ends, and like we're talking here just a little bit before starting. Phoenix, they are using this usage rules project from. It's the same like creator from like, the Ash team, Zach Daniels. And then this is like a very simple project, seems so, but the idea is like super cool. So like they're getting, so if your library exposes like a user or usage rules MD file or folder, right? This project, what they're gonna do is that they're gonna compile, they're gonna build your agent's MD file with like all those dependencies. And there, it seems that there's like a lot of like new libraries getting started with these usage rules files. So like when Phoenix, when you generate a project like that, it's getting a bunch of like instructions for your AI agent, not just from Phoenix, but from like other libraries. As far as I can tell, I'm not super deep into this, but it's really cool. So Phoenix is coming with these now. It's preparing for the AI.
I don't know of any other ecosystem that's doing, of course, I'm not in a bunch of other ecosystems, but does anybody know any other, like is Python or JavaScript or anybody like trying to like as a community tackle AI in context?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Rails would be the one that we could compare and see, but I don't think they're doing anything in Rails.
Yeah, so this usage rules is very fresh for me, but I don't know, you were using it for some time, right?
A couple months, because I've been using Ash. So.
Yeah, also there's like another Ash project that's being used everywhere. It's like Ignite.
Igniter.
So it's not part of like this talk, but it's like another Ash, I don't know, sub-project, side project that a lot of like libraries that are doing like, if you want to do like an update on a library, they are providing those Ignite scripts, so it bumps, knows all the configurations that needs to change and all this stuff. It's really cool. Regarding to dependencies, they are changing. I guess that again, the HTTP client, I don't remember very well, but I think that they did do this change like maybe 2 or 3 times at least in the past. So now they're using rec instead of a Finch, but also rec uses Finch underneath, so it's not much of a change, but like rec seems to be like easier to use than Finch. It's more like a kind of like a Tesla library, kind of. For HTML parser, which is used only on testing, they're dumping Floki to use like lazy HTML. It's like another library that I guess this was created by the -p team. Yeah, with that, I guess that I saw this. Go ahead, Micah.
So I was using the beta of 1.8 for a while, and Floki had breaking changes with the way they were working, and I don't know if that, I'm not sure why, but I think that had something to do with this change. Is that Floki broke some things on how it worked, and I guess they didn't fix it. I don't know.
Yeah, so what I understood like from these libraries that it's rated, I guess in C or so it's fast, and also they're implementing like some modern CSS selectors. So now the tests for that they generated for live view tests, they're going to be a little bit simpler, and then all those FL contains those things does not work anymore, right? Because I guess those were like Floki specific things. But you can use like regular CSS or some of those new modern CSS selectors. That's it for dependencies, not much changes. There is one thing that it's very silly stuff, but I really like it. I think it was like very fun to do. Let me see. So if you have like a project, now there's like this like new hotkey, so you can like press C and then click whatever place here, and then to open your editor, right, to the place. Or you can also do D as definition, click here to open another place, like where it is being defined.
So you're looking at the app and you're just hitting that?
Yeah, so I can go to the register page, I want to see, oh, where is this? Go like C, click here, then it goes to register.
So what you're,
yeah, it goes to the line, right?
You're typing C and then clicking?
Yeah.
Holding down C.
Holding down C, yeah.
And click,
C and
like
click.
C and click, yeah.
So I guess that they did introduce this, not this feature, but they did introduce these like annotations maybe 1 year ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
maybe
I
2
remember
years.
a talk about this.
Yeah, the last time that I remember, it was just the annotation, but now they added like 2 kind of annotations, the color and the definition of what you're doing for each tag, I would say. So you also see like the regular thing and the color. So when you do like C, that means that you're opening the color. When you do D, it means that you're opening the other one, which is the definition. This was kind of like a nice touch, I would say. And if you see here, what they did is that they just added this piece of JavaScript to the new generated code, just like a new key down, key up event listeners. So you can see like what's going on, right? So if you're hitting C, if you're hitting D, gets that stuff and opens like the target. One thing for this to work, we kind of have to export a new environment variable, which was very simple. So on my case here, I don't know if you can see that. I just need to export plug editor with like a cursor as like a protocol, I would say.
Because it's your IDE?
Yes, that's the one that I want to use. You could do like VS Code here, you could do Vim.
You should only do Vim.
I don't know exactly if it's that easy to just put Vim here, but I think that you need to register the Vim as like a protocol to open the Vim as your program. like in the operational system. So it's like there might be like some pain to make this to work for a few of those actors that you might use, but that's just like initial setup, right?
Looks like you have some placeholders in there.
Where?
In the
Yeah, file
value,
line.
yeah.
Yeah, file line is something that you need to put, yeah. That's it. I think that's like, it was like a very small thing, like incremental, as they did put these comments in the version 1.7 still, but this plug actor, open like the editor, it's like a new thing. Also, like in the JS land, there's also like a new enable set logger, so we can see logger. Where's my? We can see logger here in the console log. Oh, it's off. It's not any I/O output, but it would be like a logger, right? So if you do like a, which page am I? Go to the home page. If you do like a require logger. Yeah. So as I have this configuration on, if I'm doing like some logging, not IO inspect, but just like logging, we can see them both on the terminal here.
That's cool because like in JavaScript you're always doing like console log.
And also here.
Yeah, so you can do that on the server.
Yeah, and then it mixes, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
mixes like the console logs from the client with the
Yeah.
server. So that's really cool. Yeah, another like nice touch, I guess, not a big thing in my opinion. For the JS, I guess this is like more like a Phoenix live view. I'm not super sure if it's Phoenix live view or Phoenix HTML, but there's like this like new Phoenix collocated, which seems to be like they started this idea of like trying to move the JavaScript parts of like a component, like a functional component, into closer to your like Elixir code. So like new, for example, here on this live view example, we have like this whole like mount and handle events and whatever from your component, from your live view or component, and then in the render we have this input, and then all together we can put like our JavaScript, like client side code being executed, and all in the same place. So it's easier to do, to check. I don't know, it's just like in a single place, all these commands. With that, they introduced some things that they're like now namespacing things. So if you put like a dot and then the name of your hook, those are going to be like the same as like hooks as before, right? But if you do the dot, it's going to be like namespace to like this module, because all those hooks are globals, the JavaScript land. So that's going to be like maybe the new way to do it. With that, I think that we might still have some type of formatting, nice formatting, but we don't have like prettier, like SLint, this kind of stuff like happening, because this is just like Elixir file, right? So that's that. Here on these docs, they don't show this. Yeah, they have these like runtime announce options. They don't show this here, but I saw this. Let me see. Okay. I was like wondering, oh, but what if like we want to reuse, like I don't know, some other utility JavaScript functions like to format and whatever. Man, where is my phone located?
They're just search for hooks.
Am I not looking correctly? Collocated. I don't know how to write collocated, apparently.
Right there.
Anyway, so apparently we can import stuff. So they're doing like some type of magic work here. So they're importing, extracting all this stuff, importing to like regular JavaScript files. So you could find your own vendor files or utility files. That's cool. So I guess that because of that, it might be very useful. If it was not by this one, but just like using your own JavaScript, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you create like a reusable component, right, that requires JavaScript, like it's all in the same file now.
Yeah. But like these examples that they do with like phone number that you want to format.
Yeah.
Regarding to CSS part, there's like new Days UI, right? So we're using like Tailwind already, but now they decided to go with this Days UI. It's super cool. It's like a Tailwind components library. If you go to the components, they have all these components.
Cool.
They're like all free to use as far as I can tell. And they do have something like really cool here. You can like change
Cyberpunk,
the
Cyberpunk.
So do they create things, live view components, Vinny, or no? It's just integrating with Daisy UI. So if
So-
there's a button,
We're using
Yeah,
they
so
create
there-
a dot button that I can use?
They do create like a
Like your
function
UI.
component button that uses Tailwind
They use the-
Days UI classes. Yeah, which is like just Tailwind, right? So you can do.
But not all the
you can
components
mix.
here, just a few.
Oh, just a few, yeah.
Okay.
So you can view them. So one thing that I really like from Daisy UI is that they have this like super nice theme generator page. So you can put like all these colors, or you can just like click like random and pick one nice color for you. And you can like change like roundness of boxes and fields and blah blah blah. It's very nice, and
Does
it
it
can.
export to like a JSON file?
It's something you put inside Tailwind config.
Yeah, so-
it just exports like a very small, like,
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, those are like the configurations that you
Oh, it's all
copy.
CSS now, they go Tailwind. It's not.
No, this is not
JavaScript.
Tailwind. This is like Daisy UI.
Oh, yeah, but it's
all CSS,
it's for Tailwind, right?
all CSS.
Yeah. So if you see like app CSS, they all have like this stuff set up for you
Yeah.
with like dark theme and light theme, right? So it's just about like going here, changing the colors, and it's gonna be the same as.
Is this how you customize it right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could use this tool here to pick up like a nice color theme for you.
Yeah.
Go here, copy these CSS colors, go there, paste, and that's it. So this was like a very nice theme for prototyping, I guess. I don't know, starting a new project. Now they have these like dark and light themes set up automatically. They said that it was like a long, a feature that people were asking for a long time. So
I believe this is the only thing that requires JavaScript in,
For the Tailwind.
yeah, in, not in all of Daisy UI, there are other things that require JavaScript, but from my understanding, or my belief, I think this is the only thing that requires JavaScript in, when you Phoenix new,
Is what?
is the toggle.
Really? So what's in the hooks
The-
folder?
The light mode, dark mode?
yeah, so this is the toggle component, right? It's like a functional component. We have these 3 slots here, and these slots are just that. It's just a button.
Yeah, there's your JS dispatch.
Ha! Yes.
With this set theme. So there's like a hook, I guess.
That's it.
Master race.
No, that's not a hook. That's just like a regular
There's a little
JavaScript.
JavaScript, when you click the button, you saw back on the other thing, it's a JS dispatch. So when
Yeah.
you click the button, it calls the JavaScript right there.
Job security right there.
Yeah, it's just like setting this theme. I don't know. Is this what local storage? Yeah.
Let me know if you need me to
So
troubleshoot.
I just noticed that the TypeScript, does it ship by default with TypeScript? Was it always
No, I
TypeScript?
did add it here.
Oh, you added it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of am enjoying a lot of TypeScript these days. So I did
Oh.
change. It was very simple to change from map.js to TS.
I've got some cool TypeScript to share after the talk.
Yeah, so like theme, light and dark themes are set up by default now. In the authentication, there was a bunch of like changes. I guess the biggest was like the new magic link by default, right? So we don't authenticate anymore. So the login, or I mean, we can authenticate by email and password, but this is not the default. The default's like just like putting your
So you have to
password.
like set up SendGrid for it?
Yeah. I mean, any.
Is it like development mode by default, so it
So-
doesn't actually send an email?
Yeah.
Like we use like these library called like swoosh. They have like a developer adapter. That's like what we use, right? So it kind of like piles up like all these emails that we're sending on the dev mode. So the idea is that and I'm trying to log
Just
in
holds them
here.
there and doesn't actually send them.
Yeah.
It just,
For
in
local
dev,
development.
in production, it actually sends,
Right.
because it swaps the
Yeah,
adapter.
Yeah.
So this is the content of the email. It's hard to tell here, but then as I
I can see it.
go here,
Change
man, I
This
cannot.
light
Oh,
art
so you
mode is
can
not
actually,
Start mode, gotcha.
Yeah, so like if you go to the email, click on the
it actually
button,
lets you
that
in.
would be like the place that
That's
would be.
cool.
Yeah. And then you could go to settings, you could set up a password after that and using that, but that does not block you from using the magic link by default, you know. I guess that on the generators, you can disable, you can do just like password if you want, but that's coming like by default if you don't set like any option. Yeah, so again, like to authentication, there's like this that new scope idea now. Before, everything that was like authenticated was using like this current user, which was just like setting a current user into the con, like plug con, if it was like a regular Phoenix controller, or it was setting like on the socket, if it was like a live view. And now they're doing like this scope, right? So if you look in the code, like in the same places as we were doing the set current user, now we're doing like the set current scope. And this current scope starts with this user, the user that's authenticated, but this is the place that they're trying to do, like to aggregate in a single place all the information that you need to use for authentication authorization purposes. So at this point here, and only at this point, you could preload other user relationships, like the authorizations, whatever they need.
What tenant they belong to, possibly.
Yeah, tenants, this kind of stuff. So they're just like trying to prepare Phoenix apps to be, because I guess that everybody starts, the current user is fine for a little bit, and then we start to do like our own authentication authorization stuff. So they're just like trying to organize this type of code with this scope. Yeah, so now there's like no current user anymore, but just like current scope everywhere. And one thing that they're doing is that there's like a config. So I have a config here. There's like a new config here, which like defines what is the scope and what's the keys that they use, the path, and blah blah blah. But if you set this default to true, every time that you're generating like a new schema or like a live view or whatever, they will generate all those functions using the scope, passing down the scope, so you will be filtering those. So like, let's say that I want to create a schema called accounts, or I don't know, bank accounts, that your user, each like bank account will belong to a user by default, right? So when you try to list your bank account, it will just like pass this scope down to the list functions. I'm not sure if I have them here. Yeah, I guess that those were not generated this way, but all those functions like list users, create users, they will always like being passed in like the current scope from like the generated code, and then they are going to be using those. They're preparing that for you to just like use them to find a way how you're gonna filter those automatically. That was like a nice stuff for the generated code that we have. Yeah, so code generators are using scope now by default. Pub sub broadcast. So like if you create like a live view, they're automatically like all the places that you're touching a schema, they're broadcasting events, and then on your live view they're pub subbing, subscribing to that event automatically.
This is about time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is like the whole thing about it is that it should be real time. It's so good to see that real time is the default now.
So you get like multi-tab support out of the box?
No, it's not multi-tenant. That's like more for like you to get, if you have like some change on the database or someone did some change, you're gonna have this refresh it on the browser automatically, you know. There's like no like full refresh, it's just like a broadcast event internally. And then this will get replicated to the live view.
Oh, so this,
But that's if you're using the generators.
Yeah,
The live view
Yeah, the
generators.
new ones, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the code generators right now, like the small change that they added.
I think the pub sub broadcast is.
It's super cool, yeah.
It's, man, that.
Do you
that
have
should be
an
on.
example showing this, generated
Um,
CRUD?
Yeah, I do.
I think you can just go to command line.
Let me see, I think I created something. Oh, so regarding to this code, for example, I did ask to create these like families. The families belongs to a user, so the families is using the current scope already. So what they do is that when they create the family schema, they just put the user ID by default. You don't need to do anything. And if you don't want to use the scope, you need to, when you're creating your schemas or live, you have to do like dash no scope. So by default, it uses the scope. Then it puts the scope everywhere, like to subscribe, to broadcast, to list the families, to get the family, to create the family. So now it's preparing your app not to leak data from other users. Yeah, this was what I was trying to say. And then in the families index, what they're doing automatically is that they're doing this stuff. So once they're connected, that's something we do like a lot on live view. We have to check if it's connected, we broadcast, we subscribe to something, start to listen, implement this handle infos to apply those changes, right?
Yeah.
So they're creating these automatically. They're not using for lists, like families lists, they're using like streams now automatically. So like on this handle info, they're doing like a stream, reset of the stream here, or like a stream delete, release delete. Yeah, they're just like subscribing and then already listening to this stuff, and we don't need to do anything.
We'll look at the business again. Sorry, you didn't show the broadcast. It was right there, but you didn't. So like right there where the crate family was, you were like right there on it. Yeah, there's crate family. So like when the family's created and it's a success, it broadcasts now by default from the generator, and so that subscribe handles that. So now
Yeah. This would give you, if you were on different tabs, they would be up to date.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've made it by default. So
Yeah.
you don't have to set it
If
up.
you're using the generator.
I guess that they're trying to make these generators way more useful for the people.
Yeah.
And like new people can learn that, oh, they can use pub subs, they can use this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that's the biggest gain of generators, like to teach new people how to do the code.
And even for like internal tools, like admin tools, if you just want to do something quick, instead of going straight to the database, you you write like a generator for your schema and then it generates all that, and it's real time stuff.
So one thing that they did, it's something I was doing myself on my own projects, is that if you see like the index page for the families, there is no, so this part here, the layout part, the HTML part, was not inside the same file before. It was like an index HTML X file. Now they're incorporating, so I was doing this stuff like, because all the HTML for live views and components were like small enough that it would be better to be in the same file. So now the generators are just like building, they're not using HTML files X anymore, except the roots, I guess. That's like the only X that they have.
You could still do it if you wanted to.
Yeah. So you can do like on the layouts thing here, there's gonna be still like the embedded template which like reads those X files from folder, so you could still use those. But the only thing that they are generating so far is like the root, I guess. I don't remember if I did that. But anyway, that's like one change in the code generator, so the X are inline now, or inline in the same file, that's what I mean. And also, there's like no modals anymore, so from the core components, there's like no modal here. Oh shit.
This is just in the scaffold?
So if you want to do models, what are the You don't do it.
You just don't do it because it's the right thing to do.
We've got a redesign going on.
All right, so there's no modals here. They're simplifying this core component somehow. Now that we're using Daisy UI, we can go here, use like a component that exists here, modal, which uses like dialogue underneath.
So we still have models.
We can use modals very easily. We just need to do this stuff, like a button.
Class
like,
model. Okay, it's just HTML, CSS.
Yeah, a button with like some very simple JavaScript to open the modal, and then just like a dialogue, you know.
Well, you don't even need that. So I mean, like you could literally just have the if at selector equal, then render this, and then you just like when you click the thing, you set that selector to true or whatever, it pops it open on the page. Like there's so much easier. The way they implemented modals was so complicated, I think.
Yeah. So I'm not super sure why they did modals initially. I thought to myself that was kind of like a sales pitching point to try to explain how easy it is to have this type of changes in a page. So you are changing the layout, but they're still in the same page, right? So like having this stuff. But like modals are not great for long forms, and that's what they were doing, like the generated codes.
Yeah.
They're putting like the edit and the new forms inside the modal, which is like nice, okay, for if you have like 1 or 2 inputs, but every single live view, every people were like dropping.
Another thing they did that was really confusing about the generated before is not only did they generate a modal, but that in the modal they would they would use a shared form, and then they would set things. The modal would use the shared form, but then the modal had like conditional logic about what to show, like whether it was an edit or a new and what actions to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, at least from the talk I heard, is that what they were trying to accomplish was to show people how they could reuse components.
Yeah.
But it just ended up being like, you're a beginner, you scaffold something, and now you've got like 6 layers to do something very basic that literally is some CSS, and you click the thing and you set a selector and it pops up on the page.
Yeah.
So cool.
And I think that adding these or removing modals at the same time that they're adding Daisy UI, it makes sense a lot because we can easily replace all those type of features with Daisy UI components. Super cool. On the website, there's like this like a new again like a structure code-based changes. So now before we had like these like layouts as like we had. Let me try to open up a new 1.7 project here. Let's see, projects, Phoenix 1.7. So before we had these like layouts that had nothing. So what they were doing, they were just like getting templates from this like layouts folder. So we did have the root HTML file, which is like, it is the HTML that's being generated, like all those headers and etc. And also we have layouts in the same folder, and the app is a layout, the default layout for the app. You could build your own layouts and use those. I guess that to use those layouts, you'd have to, in the live view, the way that I used to do was, let's see, the way that I used to do was like to pass like an option here, say like layout, blah, blah, blah. And then I would have to change the web stuff to listen to options. I don't know if that's the right thing. And then change this layout from these options, right? So I guess I would have to do like some unquote or, yeah, unquote. Is this right, Michael?
Yes.
Layout, or, would have to do some tricks like that, which I don't think that's like super simple for new people. But so like it made like changing the layout not very straightforward, in my opinion. And also it was like, it was kind of like implicit, right, the usage of layouts. But now,
yeah, if you want to update something on the layout, how would you do it if you had something dynamic there, right? It's like a global thing.
So the layout had access to your assigns, so you'd be just like relying that they're using the same assigns, they're setting the same assigns. but they're not passing as props, right? And now, I'm very confused. Where is this? All right, I think that's the one. Now what they're doing is that inside each render function, what they're doing is they're just like wrapping whatever they want to render into these layouts app. And on this case here, this is just like a functional component. So you can follow, everything's like functional component now. So it's easy to follow. It cannot have like slots and adders the same way as like you do with like anything else. So let's say that you want to change this to like some admin layout. You just need to change the function, re-implement this app to like a admin, do some other layouts. Anyway, it just like became, this change was like a more like organization code again, but it was like to make this explicit, right?
Well, you trade off, you're more explicit, but now you have a ton more duplication, right?
It's just a single line duplication. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but you have to, every single time you write render, you have to type this same line. Not that that's the big, it is more explicit, which I do like. I think this is an upgrade in the fact that it's more explicit. But, and it is just a function now, but it is now, used to was implicit that you had a layout, and now you have to say you have a layout everywhere or you don't. Which is kind of a, I don't know.
Pros and cons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the better option, but I definitely think that there was a trade-off here, but it's.
Yeah, so like the layouts are not using like HTML Higgs files anymore, just like using like regular function components. In the layout, they added this like theme toggle, right? Theme toggle. So they just added to this layout stuff, so it's, yeah, it's cool, I guess. And then like we just like need to explicitly put that stuff there. In the core components, Phoenix generates these the core components for us. It's like this file with functions like flash message, buttons, inputs, and all this stuff. So they used to have this modal component, now they don't have anymore. I guess it uses the UI to replace. There's like no simple form anymore. They're just like using form. And I never noticed, I never knew why I would have to use the simple form, because there was not adding much. But anyway, they're gone. And now there's at least like they have like a single implementation that they're using this variant. And I think that this idea is like super cool.
Like the primary, secondary.
Yeah. So so far it's just primary, but they're starting to add this variant, or at least like what they did for the button. So they're gonna have like this map with like the button CSS colors for each variant.
But is this a CSS framework thing?
So this is just to grab which CSS class we're gonna use per variant. They just like get the CSS class assigned to the class attribute, and the class is gonna be used.
So it's like a Daisy UI thing.
Yeah, the
Okay.
BTN primary, yes. BTN primary, BTN soft, they're here somewhere.
Cool. Center button.
But yeah, all those things.
I don't understand why they would do that. Why wouldn't you just put the class name on there?
That's possible.
Yeah, this is the class name. So they're just like
It's
varying,
an
right?
abstraction, huh?
It's an abstraction, yeah. Because like now we could like decide to do like a secondary button from now on. Right, and just put like another color here.
So it's just
This
at
is-
the top.
This is really good when you need to refactor. So like, imagine you have a CSS class on your button, and you're like, oh, it's like called primary, or button primary. Let's call it button primary, because that's what it's originally called, right? And now all of a sudden, like, you need it to be soft in something else. And now you can change it here and allow it to, right, without having to change the rest of your code, or do you have to pass the variant again? I can't remember.
So a lot of
Because you
people,
own this component here, it's your code.
Yeah.
You create an abstraction around Daisy UI.
Yeah. So a lot of people, like, they implement those type of things as like separate options, like a primary is like a boolean that you pass to the button, and a secondary. And then like you can pass like primary, secondary, this stuff does not block you from doing that. So the idea of the variance is going to be that you're going to have like a single entry, a single header for this button that will tell you this variant.
Yeah.
So we are using reusables for React Native in a project here. Let me show the button here. So they do this idea of like variants. So for example, if you import this component, they have variants as like destructive, outline, secondary, ghost, defaults, primary. And also they have like a secondary variant. It's going to be the size. So you could mix secondary with small or
Like
primary.
standardizes.
Yeah, it's just like standardizes on this case like size and colors, right?
Yeah.
But you can create the variants like however you want.
You can also do this in CSS though,
Yeah.
with Tailwind or with even with Daisy UI, where you could say like primary, and primary is, you know, button dash primary, button dash soft or whatever. So sometimes I'm like, I don't know why this is better than.
This is like it extends in Tailwinds. It lets you combine CSS.
Well, the only way I see this being an advantage, because initially you could just make a CSS class called primary and just use that everywhere. The only where I see this really as being an advantage is that all of a sudden you need to do a refactor and you want to do something. I guess you could just change it in the CSS though.
No, this is combining CSS class. Like one CSS class is.
I understand, but you can, with Tailwind and Daisy UI, you can create a group of CSS that maps to a single CSS class.
Yeah, but you don't want to leave the information out of the button component.
For Material
That's why
UI,
the
this
variance
is our
is there.
color palette. It's like a single object. So that's why they have it in Material.
I gotcha. So you're saying that the person implementing the button doesn't need to know about the CSS variants. They just
up front.
They just need to know about it.
You describe on the button functional component. You describe what you accept. It's a strict list of things you accept.
Yeah. So here.
Variant. I don't accept primary.
Yeah.
You cannot mess up with my CSS. I don't allow you. I own this component. Yeah. That's why React became popular, because of this idea of isolating UI components. No other part of your page can mess up with that thing. I think the idea of web components initially was this, right? But never worked.
So you've typed it essentially. So the values for your CSS have to be one of these types.
Yeah, anyway, and then like this one, they don't have this in the example, but for example, this function that we use here, you can combine. So you can see that you can have a specific CSS classes for when the button is small and also the color is outline or whatever. Right. So this idea is like cool. Sometimes it's useful. Yeah. You could implement very easily these because those are just maps. You know, it's very easy to get those. And the only thing we're doing is compounding this class.
Is there like a default you could inherit from?
That's the one, right?
No, I mean like if I wanted
you would
to...
put on the variant there. I think you can say default, right, on line 93, if you had multiple.
Yeah, so on this one, like the variant does not. If you don't pass the variant, it's going to be like...
Yeah, I would probably have not implemented it this way. I probably would have added another value called soft and then done a default soft.
Yeah.
On 93 versus
accepting
nil.
I would not
accepting
do
nil
nil,
sounds.
What's the default? Yeah, on nil.
Yeah, and then add a default value to the variant or something, and require true.
So we're saying like doing these, and that would be like the same value as the
yeah, but I'm saying on 93, I would have required true and default soft. That way you can't nil it. You can't nil it out.
There's no nil. Yeah.
You can't nil it out, and you have to. You either if you provide nothing, it's soft, but you have to provide.
The nil is their default, right? Like that's the pass.
Yeah, but you want to give it a name. Like, you know, I want a soft button. Like when you're working with a UI, you want to give
something like that, right?
Yeah, I think that would be the preferable one. And then in 97, you you can't put nil there, you now have to put solved. Yeah, there you go. I would prefer that, and now you're really tight versus having the nil value.
What if I don't wanna be soft?
Well, you pass in primary.
As your code base grows, that's the thing, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so I like this approach. I think that it helps developers to organize their variations in a way. But it's only been doing that for the button for now.
But I guess you could
Yeah, it could,
copy the
yeah.
idea.
Base UI has outline button, doesn't it?
They do.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't implement the outline version. Just give some of, button is so important on any app.
I think they just got you started and they're like, you finish it now.
Yeah, but they didn't call soft here and then they didn't call there. It's even AI generated that.
Anyway, it was like a small thing that I like it. I guess it is like more like for the, I guess a bunch of stuff that I talked was like for the changes in the theme side view, maybe. But this one probably it is for. There was a few changes in the Higgs, so now initially they cannot track changes when you use like a for comprehension, and now they can track changes automatically.
Okay.
So they were like explaining all these holes here from like live view. It's kind of like a cool thought process as they had. So initially they would not do that. Now they can track changes. I guess at the default implementation is that going to be like per order. So let's say that you change an item on the middle of the list, like from that node to the rest of the list, they will consider that's going to be like a new item. So they will like to send all those new items to the div. But initially, if there was like any change to any item of the list, the whole list was being sent through the wire. So that's like a performance improvement.
Oh, nice.
With that, they also added this like new key adder or Phoenix adder.
Is key like specifically performance
It's
based?
a
From
React,
React?
yeah.
Is that they're hijacking the idea from React?
Seems
Yeah.
like it. So it's solely like performance based?
Do I have a key? Let me see, I think I have a key still, for example. Yeah, it's just like to tell the LI, right,
Nice.
how we should do that.
Yeah,
So-
because in React you're forced to specify a key.
But it doesn't, well, you're warned, right? But
You're
it
warned,
doesn't, it doesn't actually impact the UI at all. It's just used for the renderer, the communication back on Morph.js.
it's
Yeah,
for
it
the
says
performance for
under the
div.
hood.
Yeah.
It's for the div, yeah.
Yeah.
So if they identify that the key is changing, they need to send the whole thing,
Yeah.
otherwise they keep it.
Nice.
So what they say is that if you wanted the for comprehension to be effective and not sending all those things, with the
Nice.
current version with the version 1.7, you'd have to move your simple li to be like a live component, because the live component has their own state and they have this idea. So now this is not necessary anymore, just like a for with like
The
a key
key. Oh,
does the job. And also they mentioned something that's not solved yet. These like function components, right? It starts with like this like dot, or it could start with the module name, but it's like functional. And if it starts with the call here, that's called slots, right? So it's a separate special adder that goes to the functional components. In the slots, they have solved this stuff now. So if you do a change, because the slots the slots are implemented with like a for comprehension underneath. So every single problem that you have talked about this so far, about like changing one item and then sending the whole list, that would happen on slots as well. So this is solved now, but the only thing that's not solved yet is that if you have a slot with a for comprehension, so maybe this like second nested level of for comprehensions, they could not solve this stuff yet, so that's like I don't know. which I never did this for comprehension on slots, so I did not know that this was possible. But anyway, so key does not work on slots yet, but yeah. And also they had this like portal, which I'm not super sure
Does
why.
this like hoist it up to the head tag for like titles and stuff?
What?
Like portal, does it like?
Yeah, it's like React portals. Portal. It seems like
So they want you to-
those days we don't use portals
They're
anymore.
gonna do modals inside portals.
Yeah. If
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like a nice read. So they mentioned that it needs to be like, I guess, a valid HTML. So like you could not put, so like HTML, when you're building those stuff, they could like strip some of the contents for you if they identify that you could not put, let's say, the form inside the form. So like the browser would like strip the form for you. So a way for them to avoid those kind of stuff was like using templates. So internally, that's what they do. But
But
what
before you could do this template thing?
yeah, that's like an HTML5.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. So what they create, they end up like creating this like functional component called portal, which does this wrapping for us. I don't know where I would be using portals, but you could render, or you could like render something that's going to be rendered actually on other part of your HTML.
You do it to break out of like an HTML structure,
Yeah.
right? So like title or modals, like you said.
Yeah, if your modal is somehow, you're rendering the dialogue
or like
inside
like a
a
floating
form, right? Somehow you have a
floating
logic
action
there.
button.
Nasty.
Yeah.
No, like you have a button. Let's say you have a button, date picker. That's inside your own form. And that date picker is handling the modal because it's just the HTML component. And inside the modal, the date picker is using 3 other forms, one for year, month, day. Then it's a form inside a form.
It's
Because the dialogue is still there, unless the dialogue is a special thing on HTML.
it lets you break out of your z-index context stack. So like if you have a position absolute, position relative, position absolute, position relative, and like you're in a different stack, you can shift it to be at the top.
You're
saying-
Their description right here,
You're saying you can use it to break out of the layout.
Yeah, because you're now at the top.
their description right here says you have a tooltip that happens inside an element with an overflow hidden.
Yeah.
So basically, like the tooltip wouldn't completely show up, parts of it would disappear. You could use a portal here to actually render it outside of the element,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be
Yeah.
overflow hidden.
Yeah, that's a good usage. Yeah, so
I'll
that's
leave that to somebody else to do my CSS.
Hey, are you hiring?
that's
Job
what
security?
that's what I could like identify from like changes that are coming to this new version. Do you have like any questions or comments?
I really like how this was organized. Okay, flowed really well.
Yeah, I did had this talk prepared for our conference, and then they released like this blog post all together, the Phoenix and the live view in a few days apart, and I just like came back to my blog post, to my talk, and I did some changes to update that.
I love there's an igniter upgrade to this. Also.
Yeah, they have Igniter. They're using Igniter so much these days.
What is Igniter?
It's like another side project from the Ash team. So they have like scripts, they do like code generators, and then they help you like to bump your library. So if you want to bump a library that needs to change configurations or to change modules, they help you to automate that stuff. It's really cool. So like people that has libraries, they're creating those Igniter scripts to help their users to upgrade easier.
You said it took like how many years from 1.7 to?
2.5, I guess.
Wait, so no
But
types?
It's a lot of, is it a lot of changes or like?
So I don't know. I think that there are some changes that might justify like a minor bump, like maybe Days UI was a big-ish thing, like the layout organization.
So wait, when do we get types?
That's like Elixir, right? That's not, we have types, man. We're getting so many new warnings from type,
Alright.
right?
Yeah,
It's happening
it's
already.
happening. Elixir 1.9 is not going to have, is going to be, Elixir 1.9 will be fully type checked, with the exception of there's like 2 caveats, I can't remember off the top of my head, implicitly. But the caveats, they were supposed to start working on 120 for actually defining types, now that it's fully implicitly typed, for custom types. But they want to fix those 2 things because there's some things they have to do first before they go into defining custom types. But we are, as of Elixir 1.19, which is in what, RC3 right now or something, RC2? It's RC0 actually, sorry, never mind. They've released the RC, there were some problems, they haven't updated it yet. But it is, if you put on the RC, you have full implicit typing today.
Yeah, and then even if you're not using these, we are having like better warning messages
Yeah.
by just like using like standard libraries already. Mike, do you want to talk about agents and usage rules?
I mean, agents MD it's cool that 1.8 comes with 1, but I mean, the fact that like every library that in existence now doesn't, or like framework doesn't come with 1 is, I think they all will eventually.
Yeah.
The usage rules, I think, is the thing that's really unique. I don't know of any other, well, we talked about this earlier, I don't know of any other ecosystem doing it. And the fact that that you have community built, instructions for AI from the community is pretty awesome at this point. So I don't know any other community that like is building the AI rules into the frameworks.
Yeah, it's huge. Like it does skip making them up.
Yep, it's really big.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm making them up.
Right.
Yeah. And you were saying Ash has the best implementation you've seen so far?
Well, so Ash came out of necessity. I think that Phoenix realizes they need it, but I think the Phoenix usage rules are more like do this, don't do that. And probably because there's better training data on the Elixir stuff. I don't know how they came up with the rules, but the Ash stuff is like necessity because Ash, there isn't really good training data on it. But Elixir or AI does really good with examples. So they decided, hey, we're going to solve this by building examples into every one of our packages so that as soon as you start using the package, your AI understands how to use it. It's basically like a README or documentation for the AI. You can think of usage rules.
It's basically just like, it looks like it's basically just like a style guide.
Kind of. If you go to the Ash ones, I think are better. The Phoenix ones, I think are like meh. But go to just go to the Ash GitHub. It's gonna be
But
like
it
Ash.
seems like I could just read that. And
Yes.
it would be
There's
fine.
Ash Project Ash right there, and then you go to the usage rules
probably
here.
will make
Just
it
as
better.
valuable for me as it would be.
It probably will make you
So the
better,
usage
though.
rules for like Ash are there are some like outlines of like how to do it, but there is just a shit ton of examples in
That's
this.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the examples are what AI does really good with. Like you can tell AI what to do to your blue in the face, and it can kind of understand it. But if you don't have an example for it, it's hard for it to understand it. So just giving it examples like this is like when I wrote the Cucumber library that I wrote with AI, I gave it, here's the specification for this, here's the specification for this, here's what I want you to do, and it was able to just generate it because it had examples. And this is exactly that. It's just like examples of how to do everything in Ash. And it makes AI go from it's untrained and has no idea how to do Ash to it's really competent in writing Ash.
It's just really, like, the only issue, like, how many lines is that? Is like.
It's context.
It's way too much.
If
It's
you have
way
an
too big,
inferior
that
model,
it's like
you're
doing
gonna-
the same thing, but I'm breaking it up into a tree, and then I give it the tree to figure out which documents to read. Just because, like, if you were a Gemini or something with 1 million, you don't have that problem, but with Claude, you have to break this up. Because it doesn't need everything about this entire thing to solve something, it needs a particular heading. So if you've got good titles or keys there.
How are we breaking?
On the subjects, right? So like like I was talking before about like the literature config, that's a topic. right, that has very specific rules around how runtime versus compile time.
So,
And
So it's
then
like-
something like
so
this,
do you
I would
have
say
it-
like that using, was it operations, like, so like the topic headings are usually enough to break it up.
So you have
And
it
then I can
build
use
a,
Claude to break it up too, so
so you have it build a table of contents? and then-
essentially, yeah.
and then-
So the top level like coordinating sub-agent has the table of contents and picks the sub-agent to use the next step.
Isn't like what MCP servers are?
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
the same idea? If
Well,
you had
it's-
one main README file that's just pointing to other,
Yeah,
but you're just describing all the possible things you can
So-
do, and if you need more information, go to this file.
If you go to
But the-
GitHub Huddles
the
dash
MCP is more
HQ slash
determined.
Huddles,
More determined.
Yeah, the LLM is gonna.
Because
it's
Make
Huddles
decisions.
dash HQ and then slash
couldn't
Huddles,
that
yeah. Just go to
hook
Huddles.
up into the MCP stuff.
Absolutely.
If you go
No, it's
under
good. It's
docs,
absolutely.
and then there's like Ash framework,
These are all running in parallel. to upgrade to
this is what I did, which
So
is
did you
basically.
create yourself this?
Yes, so so at the time, usage rules didn't exist, and AI had no idea how to do Ash stuff. So I went and collected a whole bunch of blog posts off the internet. I fed them into AI and said, here's all the descriptions on how to do this. And then I said, break this up into subjects and give me an index. So go click the index.
hey, I know that
Oh, you
community,
did
guys.
Yeah, and then in
Okay,
my Claude MD, I told my Claude MD to reference this index when it needs to know how to do things in Ash. And then this right here has like basically like an outline of what each one of those
That's not
documents
really
does. And then the AI will go, okay, I'm doing something with relationships. So if you click the relationship doc there, I need to go read that
Just trying
file.
to fix
So
it.
then it'll go, okay, here, you're right, and there's a table of contents here, so you can figure out where to go to look. And so it only has to load into its context the parts that it's actually doing at that time.
Don't even
But before
bother.
usage rules exist, if you scroll through this,
The like,
this is my own usage rules that I generated
But you can do
myself.
that with usage rules, or it has to be a single file?
Usage rules does the same thing, but usage rules, the way it works, remember I showed you earlier,
Those comments.
is it makes comments in your Claude MD that says, if you do the link to folder depths, it says this is the folder in which the usage rule exists in, and it'll link to
But
it.
if Ash is not doing that, you're loading that entire Ash context.
Well, when it needs that piece of it, it loads it.
And then it
right.
forgets it.
And then, yeah, the next time you do something, it forgets it. So yeah, you have to,
Look at this, usage rules start,
Right.
I guess that from now on they are using.
well, it does this, so the reason it does these special comments is so that it knows what pieces to delete and regenerate the next time it needs to generate something. And this one inlined it, which I guess is what Phoenix is doing by default is inlined
Wait
it.
a second, so
But if you do the link to depths, it will not inline it, it will just link to it.
are you saying I could tell my AI agent to look at your Huddles app every time it wants to make a decision and figure everything out, and then write in my app, and then?
It has to read through all the code. I would link to the index page. But what I'm saying is now
You
that
absolutely can, it's just not very efficient.
now that usage, yeah, you can do whatever you want, Michael, but now that usage rules exist, that whole section of my app that I cobbled together by getting a whole bunch of
Yeah,
Now
you
just
know,
has to reference usage.
web pages off the internet, now I have one that's community driven by the core maintainers
yeah.
of examples of how to do it, and I can dump that.
I can't think of a better source of truth for that.
Yeah,
yeah.
So full
it's
disclaimer,
great.
the pattern that I'm describing is me generalizing what I saw Micah doing because I saw how powerful it was, but I couldn't sit and do what he was doing, so I built tools that do it for me.
So if somebody was really into AI and they saw this and I described this to them, they'd probably go, you're an idiot, you should have used a RAG.
What is that?
Or retrieval augmented generation or whatever. So basically what it does is it builds an index of all the terms and words, and it's like a database, and then when you have an MCP for it, your AI will just go, I need to know this specific thing, and it can like query the RAG for that specific thing and get like just the information for it, which could save on your context. So someone who's really into AI might say, this is a stupid way of doing this. I don't know. This is the way I, with my limited understanding and knowing that I needed to save context, came up with a way to do it.
you seem to me like someone
hold
that's
on.
really into AI.
Hold on. I have an
Yeah.
AI generated response to what you just said, Micah.
Nice. What did
I
AI tell you?
Googled it earlier because my company was asking about AI. Let me pull it up.
Well, If you can describe, like even the process you were just saying about using the RAG style thing,
Ah.
you can make it do it. So it's like, it doesn't, there's no limits here, because like, that's what I keep seeing people go, they're like, what
Here we
command
go.
do I run? I'm like, what do you want to do? Like,
It's not good.
it's weird.
All right,
We're just
so,
in comment mode now.
Yeah.
to train an AI on a specific book, you need to